is the first text that I will put in first. This is addressed to the cause that I'm addressing, if I'm addressing to someone, and to ONU and or ONU Council of Security. This is a geopolitical question with recent statements, as you know, for some leaders of some countries with apparently the same perception. And he will have, I suppose, 2 or 3 takes with this first one that I will call at the end and that I put in the beginning. In the tempo, I will remember briefly to this hooker, not to her, because I suppose she knows, as Antonio Costa, this construction that they have done also with the aspects of Turkey and Orient disgrace, a large scale, on the teas turtle. There's a document that I have already published again these months concerning this description again. And they participate actively. In my point of view, there's no contradictory of my knowledge. They must be, because I'm not a court, I'm a victim. But I do not see a court intervene. An expectable defense of human rights, basic rights of existence, and constitutional charts, and many other laws. Just remember this. I have a robust assurance of health that allows me, and this is described clear on the continuation of expoliation and aiming homicide. These are the terms of my accusation. If I have the energy, I will try even to pass these on this small monitor just to burn the rest of my vision, to do not have by possibly conscience of my acts to help any one of you anymore at any level. I will pass this part also concerning the constant torture on the teas for 20 years. To the grave of murders, Nazi murders, at the absence systematic of justice. This is an infection, the actual attack, because they have opened also holes on the gingiva. It's a recurrent process on the strategy of torture on the teeth for 20 years. I have showed these on recent videos. I have included on the blades initial on this mixing also with an uptrick here with these graces on Orient and here, heavy rains and large damage and so on. And the first one episode of this new president, elected by an uptrick on my opinion, before even be present as candidate for my spread, because I did not see in the political scene for some large here. I have put these photos of my mouth situation, which of course is done in this way, to maintain and allow them these infections that after they change even. Because these are infections that are then chirurgical for some people. The ones still alive can state these. And then they will change. I will give the antidote of what we have used to infect you, for instance. And you will raise this accusation and the story of these criminal facts and these crimes. This is the reality of Nazism, that is business of death under the umbrella of the existence of a political superstructure, political one on Europe. It's not true. Grave of the Nazi murders in this particular step of this continuous torture, aiming, extortion, final extortion, and extermination. And I suppose this is kind of already reality in many countries for many years. As you can check by the evidences that I've shown, first they have opened again the holes on the gingivas before this infection, or these guys often have infection because they enter every night on the room closed of people. And the evidences by itself on the timeline says this is a prepared action 25 with intention, which are aggravations concerning squares of criminals' attempts of murder, of life of citizens. To stress on this context of this comment today concerning these first letters that I have manuscript and published that I just have now, also a photocopy, which means I have changed it here at home and perhaps some parts forgery. Of course, this is only even comprehensible and detailed analysis on this document of 1,500 pages that I have the care to store at the launch of the atomic bomb in September against me and my family. And, however, this is all detailed and support all the evidences show or draw, if not show, because I did not catch them online, of the steps of this intricate always, and not only online, this is systematic at all the medias, including covers of print newspapers here, with important experts on these steps of this shadow play, Nazi on Middle Orient. And there's also studied by my side, by the deductions and the arguments and so on. This is a summary to say the point where I was before this atomic bomb in last September that correspond to the normal slavery process of robbery and exfoliation before, after 2003, more or less, on a regular basis each year, they arranged what is necessary to store everything that is from the past. Why? Because they are peoples ago on the way of growing clothes. São 18h09 em Lisboa. Je continue à demander un mandat de capture contre le Premier ministre, le Président et le Président du Parlement portugais pour cette continuité des temps d'assassinat et torture. Vous ne répondez jamais et vous avez m'infecté encore de nouveau. En plus, comme symptôme, j'ai une obstipation depuis hier. Je viens de vous rappeler hier aussi, ça c'est un crime courant de torture et de esclavagisme depuis 2011, autant après le tsunami du Japon. Donc, je soutiens depuis beaucoup des ans, comme vous savez, et j'ai présenté les arguments, les faits et les évidences. Pour moi, c'est clair que ces gens qui sont derrière ce crime, dans ce particulier de la torture continuité et incontinuité, c'est une façon de tuer les gens, l'assassinat, et c'est prémédité parce que c'est répété, et c'est protégé par les autorités nazies portugaises. Au minimum des enseignements, ça veut dire peut-être avec des autres européennes. Je viens de vous rappeler cette équation qui est déjà surgie quelques ans avant, je crois. Donc, ce genre de châtiment comme vous, je crois, aurait la hypocrisie nazie des assassins de décider ou les organes supranationaux européens en rapport à les gens qui font des combats. C'est une réalité. Vous n'avez pas ce pouvoir, c'était un embouche de pouvoir, c'est un embouche de pouvoir avec des caractéristiques, une nature et des objectifs nazis, des conséquences nazies. Si ça c'est le cas, vous me direz comment je peux le vérifier? Dois-je expecter d'un tortureur dans des institutions du top européenne, apparemment politicien, qui me dira un jour, quelconque qu'il soit, ah, on le fait comme ça. On prend des décisions dans les conseils, les parlements européens pour mettre des restrictions, pour faire la torture, un rapport à ces citoyens de cette République européenne, un rapport à ces citoyens de l'autre République, parce qu'ils nous donnent des combats. Bon, l'hypocrisie des nazis va peut-être jusqu'à ce point. 2 jours avant, de nouveau, cette pute nazie, c'est le terme de mon accusation, assassin, Oostvaardersdijk, qui m'a paru ici comme je ne parle pas avec vous dans notre ton aux façons si vous ne respectez d'abord, et c'est vous qui manquez le respect depuis 2007, au minimum des entendements. Tous en Europe, à les institutions politiques, quel que niveau soit. Vous m'apparaissez ici avec ce psychodrame à dire, à se complaindre à moi, que j'étais en train de voir la nouvelle, comme vous appelez, les nouvelles des embrassations des nazis européennes. En complaint à moi, on me demandait d'aide, pour amitié à dire les conditions de défense qui ne sont pas assurées au Portugal. D'une façon en plus à ce niveau abstrait. En rapport à qui vous parlez même? Vous m'avez déjà infecté quelqu'un. Ça commence avec cette histoire, je crois. Ce sont des masques, des autres infections. Parce que maintenant, je suis de nouveau avec une obstipation. J'ai eu une obstipation, la première, pendant 1 an, tout entier. Donc, la unique façon de chier, c'était prendre Porcinez or soft, whatever, do soft, and lave the lac, avec toujours des histoires qui, par l'effet dispeuse, ont toujours des valeurs apparemment connexes avec des tragédies de grande dimension. La plus grande, je crois, c'était Turquie, dans un contexte des piles. Vous savez, c'est pas normal d'avoir une obstipation de cette nature pendant si temps, même si les sangs ne sont pas préparés pour des situations pareilles. Ça veut dire on a des obstipations d'une semaine, pas plus. Après, j'ai retomé la fonction. Après 3 ou 4 mois, je ne me souviens même plus. Parce que c'est ce jet acteur sur d'hier depuis 2011, messieurs, mesdames. Et après, j'ai retourné et j'ai eu encore un autre de 3 ou 4 mois un peu. Et les derniers temps étaient réguliers et maintenant, je suis déjà de nouveau. Pourquoi? Pour faire l'impeachment, I suppose, and protection of international crimes of terrorism and Nazi characteristics. It's not true. To take this, I have started writing in this apparently not fulfillment in an exceptional state of republican democracy and constitutional such. All this is a fantasy. To entertain and to obtain arguments, political arguments, juridical arguments, that allows you to exchange bandits. This is a fiction that comes from the war, the recent war after COVID. You remember, exchange of hostages. Now, this is very interesting always to have some critical arguments. And I have started writing to courts, to TPI, to the Courier, the European Criminal Court, to the Constitutional Court, to the Supreme Court, and to the public Portuguese attorney. The 3 last ones mentioned or addressed, of course, Portuguese. And I say, I will start because to explain why I am addressing to all these entities of justice at world level. In this sense, TPI is a world level under hedge of our new institution of justice. And I start with the TPI, and I have now a photocopy of my original document here at my home, because Nazis do this. They enter every day, every night, homes of peoples, close rooms where people sleep, where people have documents. They even steal pockets of money to maintain the enslaver, or assure us that we have not even money to eat well. At the same time that by obstipation from yesterday, I was on my pharmacy for years. I transport all the pharmacy, but I start remarking they enter every night. They change the habit and enter every night. Then it's the same danger, and I put it there for some months on my room and closed. And I was looking for Pocinaire's, always the same methods that they do with documents. The criminal process of crimes that I have quoted yesterday for this beautiful image on Parquet or Luxembourg. I say, this seems what a lawyer here in Lisbon in the beginnings of the 90s. I had a process. I've put a process, and I was speaking with him and saying, what happens? This is not going anywhere. At a certain day, he phones me and asks me to go, invite me to go with him to the secretary of the court where the action was. And he shows me the piles of papers over the secretary of the entrance, where by the other side, at 20 centimeters, people are attending. So convenient. After, oh no, we have not even the honors of culture to have the digital prints on the papers. It was a sympathical lesson of pedagogy concerning the corruption already on the secretaries of courts. And I've published these first letters returning to the point where I was. What was the point where I was? To remember to you all before what I have called the nuclear French bomb atomic tests on Moratoa, which is events for 95 or 96. Then it happens at the same, was introduced in last year around September in my writing, where I was making a bilan again, repeating myself until the grave of all mankind. By the way, the road is without justice and enlightenment for all the paths, or assurance of rights. Yesterday I was taking my pills, looking for my pills of Pocinaire's or whatever, or soft life. And again, I have 3 or 4 reserved, and they were the same process. They use the documents, the right documents. Now I have just a photocopies of original manuscripts. Because this perhaps is for certain experts, or perhaps they are fetish and knows the value of the originals or whatever. This is done with active complicity of the Portuguese state from 2007 at least. Reasons enough to sustain the mandate of capture. And they were already, and I take another one, just I find another one good. But I still have the same problem in that. The historic of these obstipations are process of torture, and it's only possible to maintain if these people get torture by entering people's house and prepare even things on foot or during the sleep. However, the process is complementary to extend on the time act of torture of these natures for 2 years in all 3 steps. And I have a photocopy, and I'm trained myself in this point after the last blade to remember that I've published this apparently on this photocopy, on this blog, the 8th of 3, 2006, and start recalling the point where I was in the last year, around September, where they announced the death of my parents in a very quick way, and defined status of the health of my mum that I do not know nothing about, by telecoms active participation on crimes that must be covered or ordered by the governments and other authorities, corrupt Nazis of Portugal, if not even for others, at other European countries. And they opened a new chapter map, was on the feet. I have a open wounded, very small, for 6 months open. Then I close it finally, and they open again, not far away with it, but something still is inside. And this is a multi-level way strategy of masking what is really the harmful nature of the attack, which are a torture act, and by the continuity, attempt of murder, and by what is disposal protection of international crime criminals, and even, if proved, genocide acts. I suppose this is reason enough. Then in this first document of 10 pages, I remember the questions that were on the table last year. The shadow narrative global Nazi was, if you remember well, before these attacks with blood others here, even in Lisbon, was on the Middle Orient and was a very strange and complex and very dangerous, in my point of view, by the liberation and by the values that were disposed on the Middle Orient. Then, in the last twist is because this shadow twist every day as a cloud. Oh, it's a term of technology. And it is also a semantic Nazi contamination because, as I explained a long time ago, this is not poetics. These are crimes of destruction of the world. And there's no data storage on clouds. Clouds are formations and aggregations of molecules of different substances on the sky, on the air that we breathe, and so on. But there's no data there on cartridges or whatever it is now that goes to the crystals of the raptors. Merge, apparently real, of the Bop's technologies and seems well with these other methods, more elevated in what? Theological Nazi plan, ideological shadow. I will not even lose my time. Why? And I was speaking about the reintroduction of TPI in this time, the key facts that arrived at that time, September last. We are ready, 9 months after. And then they do the same crime as always during these 20 years from 2023 that I started writing online, as you know. 2003, when I start writing and comment and do my production online, they stole everything that I produce regularly, because this is a business. Nazism is in this state until now. It's a global purity state of outlaws and robber, with small sinks, of course. They kill even to robber or to disguise robber, and they kill in large scale. But this has not happened in the last years already, more perhaps already a decade, only online, but also offline. There's concomitant business that goes and produces this reality, impossible reality of life in each country of the world that I know. People cannot survive living in their house, being violated houses every night during their sleep. This is a road of destruction. By war, when war openly with nuclear bombs will arrive. Because we have these bombs for the Second World War, we know for that time people who have worked on these projects have also worked after all their life until their grave, remember and trying to say to and expand humankind this way. A little bit, the Pandora box opening already cannot be trillado. We cannot go in this way because if there's another one, by what many countries have, nothing will survive. This is know I have right all these as many others because I know the reality of the sink and what these people have done after the Second World War. And I was, in these first 10 pages, I was making a summary of the fantasies. Why I call these fantasies? Because the component of the Nazi implementation of order of destruction of the planet and the Thracians passed manually by communication out of all the rules, with all the free mystifications that second and turning plots to make large clouds of shadows that generates normally conflicts and by networks, where are the medium that allows the circulation and the propagation of these crazy Nazi strategy of communication, and by technologies that support these, the common technologies of the digital era that we all share all around the world. And I say this is a fantasy because there's no sense by the facts itself. But of course, all the fantasies are always based a little, at least, on some parts that can be true if enlightening another angle of life, which means this is a game of masquerades. Masquerades and masquerades. This is Goebbels' methods of Hitler Nazis propaganda minister as they created in the Second World War. Nothing new on the hell. Now, I have a photocopy and I have published this manuscript this March of this year. Then it's in the end of the year, as you know, this manuscript with already 1,500 pages, with a kind of sum of the large points of large conflicts and disgraces all around that's still doing this and generating blood. I was doing this because I realized this, that all the people that think will realize this. The question is the glutinates, and the glutinates we never solve, then this disappears 2 days or 3 months with another more lace and is bigger. The others before are not solved properly by justice. And these become more potence of destruction. And they have also the care to destroy to rob the PC, to fuck up all the equipments that I'm just to work to survive and try to help the world. And they have, of course, rob everything that have right and manly photos and draws. The infamy of the piracy global goes until this point because they do money on the sale of the draws. That I illustrate things that I do not catch by sweep on this small monitor, where I'm now in these conditions, Nazis on this infamy Nazi country, obliged to stay going on working. As a metaphor, that's each time more real, that I also remember in these 1,500 pages, this is a record pattern for 2003. If they rob the online and offline, which means that there's a lot of other connects business that gains by doing this second step of robber documents or whatever. It's clear exactly. I have already explained the surplus value of the money that they can get and what they have done or can done with this material, even worse. This is a record pattern. Societies do not have answers. This is a global question. This is a question of TPI. Nevertheless, I have also contacted criminal European Court. I have contacted in the beginning 2007 of my son, yet no one answers. These 3 Portuguese judicial institutions I do not have answers. And I was doing a resume to show to you all that the absence and inversion of democracy and states of law and justice is this one in Portugal, and I still do not have answers concerning an absent son that I do not know nothing, and the same is passing on Europe. As yesterday I remember in one more day of slavery with this fucking hooker Ursula von Linden, one of the heads of the political Nazi institutions appears before my small monitor. Portugal do not respect the rights of defense. If someone who answers by the law, my tone will change. As you all know, About my person, I'm a gentleman. I do not even have any pleasure in answer or speak with someone in these ways. And I'm a clever person. I know this is never a good way to be on life, in the minimum of the possibility of entanglements and goals. This is part of this psychological constant drive and manipulation that gives the energy, the potential energy to make all kind of conflicts and to maintain this situation of exploration and exterminio, because this become to exterminio, as I have already written and published in some blades during these last months, extrapolated by the real case of my family, for instance, and the connection of these natures or subnatures of the same process of the implementation of the Nazi reality. I suppose I'm in fact again with something new, perhaps even some pharmacian will have some more incomes due by this reason. Cobayas, women cobayas was a reality in the Second World War during the regimes of Hitler, women cobayas. And in the pandemic illusion global that entangles the world and for 4 years and allowed the development of this Nazi reality in the disguised way, because people were, we are going to all to die by a virus. In the list of simply comprehension or explanation, there was also some news that I cannot even check if true or not, that again says about cobayas use, people with terminal disease that were used apparently to save the humankind of an existence pandemic. 25 minutes 16. I want my water open. I want a mandate of capture concerning the people that I have enumerated that have functions of government and fulfillment of law. This is part of the current torture, expoliation, and murder. These are the terms of my accession, and they are extended again, as usual, during this decade to all the members of the political directories on Europe, because no one of you can, I suppose in good faith, say that are not aware of this case and crime. 26 minutes.